the new year with an eyeshadow palette declutter, guys. Welcome 2023. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my second annual New Year's Eve eyeshadow palette declutter. I certainly hope you all had a wonderful year. If you didn't, you know what? Tomorrow is a fresh start. And while you're waiting, declutter some palettes with me. Why not? So guys, tonight I have 118 palettes on the chopping block. That's a little less than I had last year, but last year there was a couple of years accumulation. This year, not the case. Even with that said, I seriously thought I would have less. I was surprised that I had that many, but here we go. I am looking to get rid of half. I would like to get rid of about 50. So maybe a little less than half, but yeah, around 50. That is my goal, so we'll see what happens. Some of the palettes I really don't like. A lot of them don't work for me. Some of them gave me allergic reactions. For those of you who don't know, I do have a nickel allergy. And I get this question quite often. I just got it the other day again. If I have a nickel allergy, which means I have an allergy to iron oxides, why do I try so many eyeshadow palettes? And the reason is because I am always trying to find something that is going to work for me. That's actually how this channel kind of started. That's how I actually really kind of started in makeup. I had a love for makeup before I was diagnosed with this allergy that I'd kind of gotten into YouTube. It's kind of a long story, but after this allergy affected me, I started really getting into it, like really deep diving into makeup and seeing what I can use and what I can't. And that's kind of still how it is. And yeah, a lot of stuff I can't use. Some stuff I can. I am convinced it is the ratio of iron oxides. There's a lot of other stuff in makeup. Iron oxides is what gives it its pigment. I am convinced that it's just like the ratio. And some palettes I can use and some I can't. The ones I can't, I will be decluttering this evening. But yeah. I love makeup. I love palettes. It is my joy. It is my hobby. Palettes are kind of what lifted me out of a very bad depression a few years ago. If you're interested in that story, I told it last year in this video in my first palette declutter. I will post it down below. I'll post my entire eyeshadow palette declutter my entire declutter playlist. I will post it down below if you are interested in that. If you like palettes as much as I do, I hope you will give this video a thumbs up. I do not waste any makeup, guys. I either give it to friends or family. I don't have that many friends. In all honesty, I don't. And I don't have that much family either. Most of these palettes will end up on Mercari. And while we are on the subject of Mercari, for those of you that saw my video last month, I think it was last month, maybe a few weeks ago, my eyeshadow palette 1 year declutter. 1 year later, I did put those palettes on sale. So I have some palettes that have been hanging around Mercari for about a year. Some of them I brought back into my collection, which you'll be seeing this evening. One of them I decided to toss. You'll also be seeing that tonight. And the others are on sale. So if you had any interest, go ahead over there. I did like, some of them I did like 25%, 50%, whatever the case may be. And with that, I think that's it, guys. Once again, my OCD dictates that we do this in alphabetical order. Let's go ahead and get started. Am I still wearing the hat? All right, guys, so in a twist, I'm actually going to start at the bottom of the alphabet. It's a little bit of excitement here in the attic. We're going to work our way backwards. So we're going to start with Urban Decay. I have 3 Urban Decay palettes, and what's kind of funny is that I decluttered both of these last declutter, but you know what? They did not sell. So I have the Naked Honey palette. This palette I really enjoy. I think this was one of the better Naked palettes that they did. I decluttered it last year because I felt I just wasn't getting a lot of use out of it, but it did not sell. I think people in general are tired of the Naked palettes. I don't know. I think maybe Urban Decay would be better not doing one for a while and then maybe trying it again, try to get people a little bit interested. But yeah, this was an easy decision for me. It didn't sell, so I brought it right back into my collection. I really enjoy the formula of this one. I think this was the best Naked palette they ever did. This is the Naked Honey. Naked Reloaded, I love, oh, hello. I love this palette. I absolutely love it. Again, I got rid of it because I wasn't getting a whole lot of use out of it, but I had no problem bringing it back into my collection. I love cool tone neutrals. That is my favorite. I also like the packaging of this one. This one had different packaging. It had like this kind of pillow packaging. I thought it was really cool. And last year I was totally on the fence if I wanted to declutter it. So yeah, brought it back into my collection. And the Naked 3. Everybody declutters this palette. Nobody likes it for the most part. You can usually get it on sale. This was the rose gold one. I will never ever declutter this palette, and I'll tell you why. It's not the formula is so great. The shades are actually very wash of color, but my nickel allergy, I am affected most by pinks. I have a real issue wearing pink shades. This is my go-to pink palette because I know it never gives me an issue. Now, you can make the obvious assumption that it's because it has very little pigment, which is true. Like, it just doesn't, like, look at that. This is why people declutter it. This is why I love it. I will never, ever declutter this palette. It is one of the only pink ones I can use. And there you have it, my Urban Decay collection. Next up, we have Too Faced. I have quite a bit of Too Faced palettes, more than I thought I did. I will start at the top. This is the Teddy Bear palette. Get it, Teddy Bear. Now, I will tell this story one more time, I promise, and then you will never hear it again. I decluttered this palette last year and ended up actually not decluttering it. I was ready to put it on Mercari. I was actually getting ready to take the picture, and I just fell in love with it because I love these neutral colors. Like, this is like my kind of palette. This is the kind of palette that I normally love. So I actually ended up not decluttering it. I brought it back into my collection. So then ended up using it and hated it. I don't like this formula. I just don't. I just don't like it. Now, what's kind of interesting about this one is that a lot of people on last year when this palette came out ranked it quite high and actually really enjoyed it. Said this was one of the better Too Faced palettes that they used. I have to disagree. I just didn't care for it. Declutter for real. Another one I didn't care for, this is the Too Faced Too Femme palette. This one came out in the dead of winter, I believe. I don't know why. I remember when this one came out thinking this would be a great spring palette because not just of the packaging, but of the inside. There you have it. Why am I out? Okay, I think I'm back in focus. It really is a beautiful palette, like aesthetically. Like, look at the butterflies. It's just really, really, really cute. The formula is okay. I think I like this one a little better than the Teddy Bear palette. Keep in mind, this smells overwhelmingly of florals. I tried this palette when I did my Puppy Blues video. I did trying Too Faced Talking the Puppy Blues. I thought the blush from this collection was stunning. I didn't think this was a terrible palette, but I'm never going to use it. Declutter. Okay, here we go. Better Than Chocolate. This was my least favorite palette of the year. It finished at number 44 out of 44 palettes that I ranked. Let me tell you why. Packaging is cute. This is one of Too Faced Tim palettes, obviously. The color story is not bad. Definitely thought they could have gone a little deeper, which they didn't. But what was really, really disappointing in this palette was the formula. The fact that pretty much all of these shades, when you put them on the eye, they all look the same. I have a whole video on this one if you are interested. I do 2 looks that look exactly the same, and I used all different shadows. I think I used every single shadow or almost every single shadow, and they looked exactly the same. This shade, which looks like it would be stunning, and this shade, which looks like it may be stunning, they look like they came out of the chocolate gold palette. No, the chocolate gold is a completely different formula. These are horrible. They're absolutely, they're bad shimmers. The mattes aren't very good. They all look the same. What was kind of weird is a lot of people didn't seem to mind this palette, but I really, really didn't care for it, so declutter. Pumpkin Spice. This was another one that was new to my collection this year. They did a pumpkin spice palette a few years ago. Last year, if my memory serves me correct, they did the Cinnabon palette, and then the year before they did pumpkin spice, hence second slice. This is the second slice. So this palette, unlike the Better Than Chocolate, I thought was really, really, really nice. I love a fall palette. It smells really good. It smells like pumpkins. Like Too Faced always does that fragrance in their palettes, or most of the time they do fragrance in their palettes. And I thought the formula was really nice. I actually really liked this palette. I am going to declutter it because I had an allergic reaction. That's nothing against the palette. I actually thought this palette was quite beautiful. My only complaint with this palette, it's not in the tin packaging. They always used to do these collections in the tin packaging. I don't know why they stopped. This is cardboard. Maybe they spent too much money on here. This one came out like right before this one. So when this one first came out, I thought this was going to be the holiday palette. They always release like a holiday palette in the fall. It kicks off the makeup holiday season, and then they release those other palettes at Christmas, around more close to Christmas time. I thought this would be their holiday palette, but it wasn't. Or maybe it was going to be and they had to release this because that one wasn't popular and they spent all their money on the tin packaging. I don't know. For whatever reason, they didn't put this in a tin, which I thought was bad because people collect these. They do. They collect these tin palettes, and this palette is quite good. But if you were looking for the tin packaging, it's not there. But anyway, yeah, I'm decluttering this one. Okay, so far I have decluttered all of my Too Faced palettes. Okay, Too Faced Chocolate Gold. I am going to hold on to this one. I actually really, really love this palette. I have the original Too Faced Chocolate Bar somewhere. I thought I decluttered it last year. It showed up again. I saw it in my room somewhere, but now I don't know where it is. I ended up not decluttering it. I guess I just held on to it for nostalgia. There's really nothing I could do with it. It's old and it doesn't, you know. I think I just kept it, like I said, for nostalgia. And now I can't find it again, so I don't know. But it's around here somewhere. This is the Chocolate Gold. This was a mostly shimmer palette. It did have, like, these neutral colors, which was, like, perfect. Like, this is really all you need. Because you would work with these shimmers. So you lay down a matte and you put over a shimmer. I thought this palette was really, really, really good. It was one of my favorites. I can still smell it. It still smells like chocolate. But the shades are starting to go weird. Like these shades over here, I don't know if you can see it. The ends look different than the middle. So this will probably be, this palette is probably on its last, going into its last time. My favorite shades from here were these two, Rich Girl and Dripping Diamonds. Oh my God. Too Faced? They don't do shimmers like this anymore. They really don't. And I mean, this palette is old. It still performs really, really well. I didn't take it. I usually take it out around the holidays. I really didn't take it out this holiday, but I'm going to keep it just for myself. And then another one I'm going to keep for myself. This is the Too Faced Peach palette. You know what's really funny about this palette? A lot of people still love it. Like, people, I've been watching a lot of declutters, and I have seen, you know, a lot of people hold on to this palette, and I've seen a couple of people actually say that they repurchased it. I think it's still available. It's really, really cute. It's a sweet peach. I definitely got into makeup way after the hype of this palette, so I don't remember, but I have heard it was like, when it came out, it was like insane. So for me, I like neutrals. I think this is a really pretty palette, and there's just something about it. I don't know if it's the packaging, the smell. I love to pull it out in the spring. This shade, Luscious, again, this is from a time when Too Faced really did, I don't know, their formula was just better, I feel, in the stuff that they come out now. But I'm going to keep this palette. And then my Too Faced Natural Eyes. This is another one I really, really, really enjoy. This is honestly probably one of my favorite palettes. I saw a video, Cara Chapman did it. She ranked all of her favorite neutral palettes. I think that's such a great idea. Within the next couple of months, I might do it too. I just like rank all my favorite neutrals, and this would be on there. So I also have the matte one, but I decluttered it last year. It's still on Mercari. It's on sale if anybody is interested in it. I never used it. I prefer shimmers, and this palette does have a couple of mattes. It does have a couple of shimmers. It is, again, it is just like from a time when Too Faced really, I think they just did beautiful palettes. So I am going to hold on to this one. So I did end up keeping 3. This was the holiday palette this year. This was like the holiday Christmassy palette that came out. They always do a few. They do some for Sephora. They do some for Ulta. I don't know why they do that. And then I think this one might have been, I know this one was Ulta because I purchased it there. So what it looks like. Their holiday palettes always look like this. They always look similar to this. The quality on this wasn't that great. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't that great. I always buy these kind of as a tradition. The one that they did last year was actually quite good. The Christmas in London, my mom actually still has it. She loved it. The blushes on that one were really nice. You know, the packaging is cute. Let's face it, the packaging is really, really cute. You drive me glazy, the donuts and everything. And that's kind of, you know, that's where it's at with Too Faced, the packaging. Nothing really special about this palette. I am going to declutter. All right, next up is Tarte. So I'm going to start with the Tarteist Pro Remix. Now, for those of you who saw my declutter last year, yes, I decluttered this palette. This was, or if you saw my video this year where I talked about palettes that did not sell on Mercari. This was one of them, guys. This palette did not sell on Mercari. It was sitting there for a year, and I was kind of deciding what I'm going to do with it. And actually, somebody made a comment on that video that they have this palette, and they really, really like it. So after I did that video, what I did is I took out all those palettes, I gave them another look, and I decided what I wanted to do. And I decided to pull this one back into my collection since nobody really was interested in it anyway. I love neutrals, so I will go ahead and hold on to it. I will give it some love. Yeah, I actually think it's a really, really beautiful palette. I got it on sale at Macy's. I had never really heard of it before, but I think it's really, really, really pretty. So I'm going to bring it back in and keep it. Next up, I have the Tarte Clay Play palette. This is another really pretty neutral one. You have like the 3 neutral color stories, whatever, and then you have a blush, you have a highlighter, and you have a bronzer. This is the palette I always say I'm going to bring on travel, and I never do. To be honest with you guys, I just don't use this palette, and I think somebody else could get some better use out of it. I'm going to declutter it. Then I have this one. What the heck is this called? So, Dream On. Okay, Tarte had a sale not too long ago, maybe a couple of months ago. They had a really good sale, okay? It's a really good sale. Like, everything was like half price. For some reason, I remember wanting this palette when it came out. It came out, if my memory serves me right, last fall. And I just never freaking used it. So then when it was on sale, I bought it because I had wanted it, and then I never got it. All the names are like named after fairies, like Mystic, Magic, Dream. And then I think it's a beautiful palette. I honestly have not used it. I think I might have swatched like one shade, but I'm never going to reach for this. So I just got it and I'm already going to declutter it. But yeah, I'm going to declutter it. Tarte C, Salt Life C palette. This was a palette, if my memory serves me correct, everybody hated because they said it was very, very light. It's a wash of color palette. That's what the inside looks. I think it's really, really, really pretty. I also got this at the Tarte sale, so this is also pretty new to my collection. And to be honest with you guys, I actually really like it. I like it. I love a wash of color though. I love a good wash of color palette. I don't need a lot of pigment, and I never get a reaction from this one, so I am going to hold on to this. And then finally, guys, the Tarte Man Eater palette. Do not come at me. I didn't think this was as good as everybody said. I also had a video on this one because when this palette came out, oh my God, everybody was going crazy. It is beautiful. And all I heard was like, oh my God, Tarte's gonna have the palette of the year. Tarte's doing like amazing things. I think this is the most popular palette Tarte has done in quite a while. These shimmers with like the indentations, first of all, the packaging is stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning packaging. These shimmers with the indentations, they were very, very, very good. The other shimmers were so, and the mattes I didn't think were that great. And like, come on, like, we need these 4 shades. Like, there was just a lot of real estate, unnecessary real estate in this palette. I think Samantha March had a video where she would have redone this palette. I don't remember what she said, but if I was going to redo this palette, I would have done it with just these shimmers. Like 1, 2, 3, like these shimmers with the leopard indentations or the cheetah or whatever. And then maybe an equal number of mattes. And that's it. That's what I would have done. So all in all, I didn't care for this palette. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people loved it, but to each his own. We all have our own opinion. Declutter. Okay guys, so we are on the S's and we're on to Sydney Grace. I have two Sydney Grace palettes. This is the Sydney Grace X Temptalia. There were 3 of these and I had all 3, but I decluttered 2 of them last year. I held on to this one because I wanted to just keep one to use. This is on the horizon. Did I use it? No, absolutely not. Got very, very, very little use out of it. I am going to hold on to it and really, really try to make it my business to use it this year because I think it's beautiful and I like Sydney Grace. I think they're a very, very nice brand. I really like them better since they started doing a bit more palettes because I'm just not a single shadow type of girl. I never use them. I just don't gravitate towards them. This is Coffee Talk. I love this palette. I tried it for the first time this year. This is my kind of palette. I love these 9-pan neutral palettes. They're so, so nice. And I love a neutral shimmer. Look at that. I can't help it. I love cool tones. I love shimmers. That is a palette that I absolutely adore. I would like to pick up more Sydney Grace palettes. Like they do a lot of these 9-pans now. I saw not a lot, but a few. There's another one, I think it's fairly new. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll put the name of it here. I was just looking at it the other day and I think I do want to buy that one. And also Tiny Marvels is back on their website. That was Mel Thompson's palette. I loved Mel Thompson. She was one of my favorite YouTubers. I don't know why I never picked up the palette and then it was always out of stock, but it is back now. So I think I am going to make some Sydney Grace purchases in the new year and add to my collection, but I am holding on to these 2. They're really nice. What is going on with Storybook Cosmetics? Does anybody know? Seriously. All right, so Storybook Cosmetics, they were a brand that made these palettes. They looked like books, hence Storybook Cosmetics. And I believe they were associated at one point with BoxyCharm. A lot of people who had these palettes had BoxyCharm. I actually purchased them on my own. I thought they were really beautiful and I love packaging. I'm a woman driven by packaging. So I had 3, or I have 3 rather. They're right here. I had the Robin Hood one and the formula was actually very, very good. And they had like these little sayings inside, mirror, mirror, here I stand, who's the fairest of the lands. So this was the Robin Hood. Like the artistry was just beautiful. Packaging was gorgeous. And you know what? The formula was very good too. Formula was really good too. This was a Little Red Riding Hood. Even though I didn't reach for them that much because I kept them with my books. I displayed them with my books. If you're not somebody that displays makeup, they were a pain to store because they're very bulky. And then this is, what the hell is this? Sleeping Beauty, but it's not called Sleeping Beauty. It's called, the hell? Little Briar Rose, which is actually the original name of Sleeping Beauty. Most fairy tales originated with like Grimm, the Grimm brothers. Not all of them, but a lot of them, and they're kind of dark. I don't, like if you ever read original fairy tales, they're usually pretty dark. I had a little story about that when I did my Cinderella Sigma palette review. I told the real story of Cinderella, or the Grimm brothers story of Cinderella. But anyway, I'm getting way off topic. So I was actually going to purchase a 4th one not too long ago, maybe last year. They came out with a Van Gogh, I believe it was a Starry Nights palette. But it was like really expensive. I thought it was more, they were trying to sell it for more than I think I would pay for this brand. So I was kind of waiting for it to go on sale. And then, man, I don't know what the hell happens if they just went out of business. It was 2 sisters. I remember that. And even when you open it up, like on the back, they say, once upon a time, there were 2 sisters who never stopped believing in fairy tales and they all lived happily ever after. It was 2 sisters that ran the brand. I know that much. And, yeah, I don't know if they just went out of business, but I think there's more to it than that. So if you guys know what's going on with this brand or what happened to them, please leave it in the comments below. For now, I'll just hold on to these. And if I find anything out, I will certainly let you guys know. Next up, one of my favorite brands, if not my favorite brand, this is Sigma. Sigma does these absolutely beautiful, for the most part, neutral palettes. I have always loved Sigma since I have been into makeup. Some people think they're boring, but not me. I love them. I think their shadows are beautiful. I think their palettes are beautiful, but there is some stuff I can part ways with. So I am going to declutter these two palettes. These were released, I believe, last year. These were the first like smaller palettes that Sigma did, and then later on this year they actually came out with their smaller versions of their larger palettes. I actually don't have any of those. I have most of the larger palettes. I don't have the warm neutrals. I was thinking of picking up that one. I missed a sale. I kind of regret that I missed a sale. I would have liked to have picked up the warm neutrals and the holiday palette. I did pick that up for the giveaway, but I didn't pick one up for myself. I thought it was really pretty, but I don't know, guys. I'm just kind of paletted out for the year. Anyway, so this is Ivy. This one is absolutely stunning. Really beautiful, like green tone neutral palette. And then this one, Rosy, another beautiful like pinkish tone palette. Thought this one was absolutely beautiful, but I don't reach for them, so I'm going to declutter both of them. I also had Ritzy. I ended up decluttering in that last year. That was like a really neutral one. And then I have these palettes by Sigma. These are like their kind of signature palettes, I guess you'd say. These are their 14 pans. So I have Untamed, I have the Ambiance, I have Enchanted, I have Numad, I have Alice in Wonderland, and I have Cor de Rosa. And I am going to declutter two of these. Yes, I am. Place your bets now. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with Untamed. This is probably the least favorite in the Sigma family. A lot of people just don't like this palette, or if they don't like it, it's not that they don't. Oh, by the way, when you buy these 14 pans, they also come with a brush, and Sigma brushes are unreal. They are so good. And I know sometimes you buy palettes and the brushes aren't that great, but they're phenomenal. These brushes are phenomenal when you get them in these palettes. So yeah, a lot of people, this is like their least favorite, but not me. I love this one. I love to pull it out in the fall. I think it is so gorgeous. You know me and my Sigma shimmers, so keep. Okay, so that leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next up, I have my Cor de Rosa. This is another palette I absolutely love. Look how stunning that is. It's just so, I'm sorry. I just like, I just knocked over the whole thing, but the table, but I don't think it was on camera too much. Look, just like the detail that they have. Yeah, so the shimmers of Sigma, they're so lovely. I mean, that's not a great swatch, but I mean, palette is beautiful. Holding on to this one. So that leaves us with 4. Okay, so Alice in Wonderland. Guys, I had a whole video on this palette. It reminded me so much of the Cinderella palette, and if you remember, I was just not a fan of the Cinderella palette, and nobody wanted to love that palette more than I did. Okay, I invested in a tiara. I had a whole video, and I was just disappointed in it. It was so beautiful. Like, this palette is beautiful. It's aesthetically pleasing, right? It's just so pretty. But the truth of the matter, the fact of the matter is, I don't reach for it. I thought it was better than the Cinderella palette, but I didn't think it was, like, great. I'm sorry, I just didn't. And I might be a party of one, but I just didn't love this palette. I don't think the Sigma formula is as good when they do these collab palettes. I don't know what it is. A lot of people were complaining about the background, like on rankings. I saw a lot of people complain about the background, like because the palette doesn't like stand out or something. For me, I don't have a problem with that. I just wasn't overall crazy about the actual palette. The color story is pretty, but I don't know. I'm not like... It's just, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. So I am decluttering this one. Okay. Enchanted. This is another one by Sigma. This is kind of like a springy palette, but they also, like, this side is like really spring, and then you do have like some deeper tones over here. I actually really enjoy this palette. I am keeping it. So that leaves us with these two, and I am going to be decluttering one of them. Okay, so we have New Mod and Ambiance, and I'll tell you right now, it is not my Ambiance. This is one of my favorite palettes. I'm going to be pressed into this when I die. Here's the thing. New Mod, I ranked this palette number 3 on my palette ranking this year. It's absolutely beautiful. Packaging is gorgeous, but I have a reaction to this palette. There's no getting away from it. I've tried it a few times. I've tried it enough where I felt I could rank it, but this shade, this shade, this shade, this shade, all the standout shades in this palette gave me a reaction. Not shocking. I find that pinks are my worst when it comes to allergic reactions. I could keep it and use these neutral shades, but that really wouldn't make much sense. Someone could get a lot of use out of this palette, and so I am decluttering it. It's a sad day in here in the attic. Okay, so next up we have Pat McGrath, and then we have Odin's Eye. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with Pat McGrath. I have 2 each of these palettes. I used to have a Mothership and Quads, but I actually decluttered it all last year. Me, personally, I think Pat McGrath is a little overpriced. I'm sorry, I know it's an unpopular opinion. I just never fell in love with the brand the way most people do. So the first one I have is the, what is this thing called? This is the mini eyeshadow palette, Midnight Voyage. One of my subscribers told me to pick this up, that it was really good. It's exceptionally cute little palette. I think the formula is really nice, especially, is it this one? Yeah, this one. Ugh, you know I always love these kind of shimmers. This is a great palette for travel. It's very small though. Like, to scale, you can see how small this palette is, but I like it. It's cute. I'm gonna keep it. And then the Bridgerton palette. I actually really liked this palette. I did a video of this Valentine's Day week because I felt like it was like a romantic palette. It's based on the series. I don't watch the series, but from what I've heard, it's like a romance series, I think. Anyway, packaging, stunning. This is what the inside looks like. It's very unique kind of palette. These 2 shades are so pretty. They have such a lovely formula. They are a little bit similar for a palette with 6 shades that cost $65, but this was a, what I would call a novelty palette, you know. So it is what it is. I thought that they're kind of like satin. They have a beautiful formula. The only questionable shade is this. I thought it was a little patchy. Then you have these 2 nice shimmers. This one, oh my goodness. This is the star of the show. This shade is stunning. And no matter what you put it over, it just changes the look and it looks absolutely fabulous. Fabulous. It is so pretty. I don't know if this is what's considered a Pat McGrath special shade, but it should be, because it's really beautiful. I'm going to hold on to this. I actually like this. You know, I would buy more Pat McGrath if she would do palettes that kind of what, I don't know how to put this, but like, whenever Pat McGrath comes out with a palette, what was kind of really exceptional about this palette is that she never does stuff like this. So there was a follow-up. I didn't get it. I don't think it was, people didn't like it as much. There was like a Bridgerton part 2. But what I mean is that when Pat McGrath comes with a palette, it's usually like one of those big motherships that's $120, $130, whatever it is, or it's a quad. I would love to see Pat McGrath do more palettes, kind of like the Natasha Denona middies, like in that $65 range, kind of like this size, but with more shades, you know, like the ones that Natasha Denona does, like the Glam or the, now I can't think of one off the top of my head, but you know, they have all those palettes, the retro, whatever. You know what I mean? Like maybe like a $65 palette, but more than 6 shades. And something like, I don't know. I think if she would take kind of one of her Mothership color stories and condense it down a little bit, not a quad, but a little more than a quad, but not exactly the Mothership, I think I would like that. And I might be interested in purchasing more Pat McGrath, because I'm sure she is trying to get my business. All right, guys, here we go. Odin's Eye. I have a lot of thoughts on what is going on with this palette right now. So before we get to that, by the way, I am keeping the Bridgerton if I didn't say that. I have 2 Odin's Eye palettes. I think this is such a cool brand, and I would like to try more from them. I got this in the mystery box. It was the first. I got the Odin's Eye mystery box, and they sent me this palette. So this was the first palette I tried from them. It looks like this. It's so beautiful. I remember when this came out, was a few years ago, and I just never got it. Who was I watching back then that loved this palette? I can't remember. I think it might have been Juvia Mazzucato. She was always using this. I mean, this palette is gorgeous. I don't know if it does it justice on camera. It is absolutely stunning. This is a palette that appeals to me. Like, I love it. I love the yellows, the purples, everything I love about this palette. But unfortunately, my nickel allergy has other plans for me. I can't wear this palette. It gave me a horrible reaction, so I am going to declutter it. But I wish I could keep it. So I'm decluttering that one. Okay. This one, oh, God. Guys, here's the thing. I am just like disappointed in the world. So this was a limited edition. First of all, I did a video on this palette and I shouldn't have done it. And the reason why is I don't like to do videos on stuff you cannot get. This is, I'll show you real quick what the inside looks like. This is discontinued. This is the Odin's Eye Merry Christmas palette. When I did the video, it's absolutely stunning, as you can see, and the formula is out of this world. When I did the video, I thought there was going to be a restock. This is how fast this happens. I did the video thinking there was going to be a restock. I posted it the very next morning after I did the video. And before I knew it, after I had released the video, that restock had come and gone and had sold out. And that was the last restock they did. So I felt really bad because it was basically by the time my review on this palette went up, you couldn't get it anymore. And I don't like to do that. So I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. It's over. What can I tell you? I think it's hard for an indie brand like Odin's Eye when they do limited edition palettes. I mean, this palette was so beautiful, from the color story to the formula to the detail. They really didn't make enough. There were not enough of these to go around. There was this one and there was another one called Christmas Eve. That one was more of like a purpley, cooler tone blue. If I remember it correctly, I think it was supposed to be like snow. Like a snow themed palette. This was the more traditional palette. And you know, a smaller brand like Odin's Eye, they have to make enough, or excuse me, not make that many that they need to make money off, is what I'm saying. So they have to be, I think, careful with the limited edition. And I think they just truly misjudged how many they would need to go around. And this sold out fairly quick. You have a company like Too Faced. They're making holiday palettes out the wazoo. They can't sell them because nobody wants them. You have a company like this that's making these kind of palettes. They can't seem to make enough. So what ended up happening is that now they are selling this palette, and I sell palettes online, so I see it all the time. This palette is retailing for like over $200 online, and that's the cheapest. I've seen it more. I've seen it go up to more. I've seen it go up to 4 digits, which is absolutely insanity, and should not be allowed. But when you have something that's yours that you're selling, you can pretty much sell it for whatever you want. It's not like a brand that's selling it. It's not like a necessity that's being sold. So there's really no laws, as far as I know, to what you can sell these palettes for. But it shouldn't be allowed, and I think it's kind of shameful. And it makes me wonder if people like purchase more. Like, think about it. If you went and you purchased, let's say you spent like $400, you purchased, I don't know how many of these palettes, like 20 of these palettes, whatever. That's not exact math, but I'm just giving you an example. And you sold them for $200 each. Like, think about that. And I wonder if that happens, or if people just realize now they can get money for them and they're trying to sell them. I think there should be a limit on how many limited edition palettes you can buy. Like, I don't think you should be able to, and there might be, I don't know, there might be, but I don't think you should be able to go onto a site and buy like 20 palettes. I was very naive about this palette. I remember picking it up and thinking, oh, I'll just get the other one if I want to. I had no idea how fast these were going to sell out. And here's my thing, guys. It's a beautiful palette, but within a couple of weeks or less than that, Christmas is over. Nobody's going to really be talking about it that much. My opinion, I can't tell you what to do with your money, but this palette certainly isn't worth $200. or $100. It's worth what it was. I think it cost around $30. It's beautiful. But, you know, if I couldn't get my hands on it, I sure as hell wouldn't even be thinking about spending that kind of money on it or giving my money to people who are trying to sell it for that much. I'm not going to declutter this palette because I really enjoy it. But if I was going to declutter it, I sure as hell wouldn't put it online for $100. I think that's insane and wrong. That's my opinion on it. Take it for what it's worth, but the palette was gorgeous. People are even trying to sell the ornaments. They came with like these little ornaments. People are trying to sell them for 10 bucks. It's crazy. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so we're moving on to the N's and the M's. So I have some Nabla, I have some Milani, I have some Morphe. The Milani ones are looking at me, so I'll start with them. These palettes are terrible. They are so bad. I have 2 of them. This one is, they're your most wanted eyeshadow palettes. That's what they're called. That's not what they are. This one, what the hell is this called? Outlaw Olive. This is Outlaw Olive. And this one is Rosy Revenge. And the only reason that I am holding on to these is because I am still in my Drugstore Roses, War of the Drugstore Roses series that is just recently kicked off. And I'm doing my Milani versus Physicians formula comparison. And after that, I will declutter these. So these are as good as gone. But I mean, I'm not even sure if I would give these away. The formula is very, very bad. Now, here's an interesting thing that I heard recently, as like only a couple of days ago, that Milani reformulated their eyeshadow palettes. I think I saw it on Jen Phelps' channel that there is a new Milani formula, which they need. In my opinion, they desperately need a new Milani formula. It's just not good. They also just released a collection called Luminoso, which is based on their blush. They have a beautiful blush called Luminoso. I like when brands release stuff around something that's like a color of theirs that's popular, like what Sigma did with New Mod. Even though I couldn't wear the palette, I thought it was beautiful. So they're doing that with Luminoso, and they have an eyeshadow palette called Luminoso that I did pick up. So that should be coming in the mail soon. I'll do a review on it, and we'll see if the formula is new, if it's good, what's going on with it. Once upon a time, Milani made palettes that looked like this. This is super old. This is soft and sultry. And once upon a time, they had probably the best drugstore formula, palette formula in the world. My opinion. This palette is so amazing. The formula on this palette is incredible. The mattes are great. The shimmers are great. It's just lovely. Packaging is great for drugstore. I don't know why Milani changed its formula. I don't know. After this, they came out with those gilded palettes, which were quite colorful, so maybe they needed to change the formula. But I mean, this was great. I'm holding on to this. This is a piece of history right here. Okay, Nabla. This is I love Nabla, actually. Let me throw that in the mix. This is the Secret palette. So I had a few Nabla palettes. I did declutter them last year. I really wasn't reaching for them, even though I do really enjoy the brand. That's what's weird. And this was one of my favorite palettes for a really long time. There's some really beautiful colors in here. You kind of have a little bit of everything. You have some pinks, you have some neutrals, you have like these pretty golds. You have this color, Play Hard, which is really stunning. It reminds me of the one by Colourpop, the icy whatever. I just feel like I've used this palette as much as I'm going to use it. I kind of stopped reaching for it. I'm just, you know, I don't know. Like I said, it's beautiful, but I don't reach for it anymore. I'm going to declutter this one. Finally. I'm finally going to declutter this palette. Then my only other Nabla palette is the Cutie palette, which I am wearing today. Got this one in a Nabla mystery box. They came out with a bunch of these Cutie palettes, and this is the platinum one. This was the platinum Cutie palette. This was the one that I would have purchased if I was going to purchase one, which I didn't, but I did purchase the Nabla mystery box, and this was in it. So isn't that, life just works out sometimes, I'm telling you. So I am going to hold on to this. And then I have Morphe. I was never a big Morphe fan. I have 2 Morphe palettes. I decluttered all the rest of them that I had last year, but I didn't have that many. So I'm actually going to hold on to these Morphe palettes because this one, what is this? They're old. They're not new. What the hell is this one called? Fall into Frost? Fall into Frost. This is the Artistry palette. I think this is called Fall into Frost. I cannot find, they have these things because they have like the shade names on there. I can't find where this one is called, but I think it's Fall into Frost. I know they don't make it anymore. I love this color story. And to be honest with you, I know that it sounds ridiculous. Or maybe it doesn't. You really love makeup and palettes. Maybe what I'm going to say does not sound ridiculous, but you can form an attachment to makeup. If you got it at a certain point in your life, if it meant something to you. This palette has kind of a special meaning to me, so I will probably never declutter it. But I went through, for those of you that don't know, like I said, if you're interested, I will link my declutter playlist down below. And it's in the first, like 20 minutes of my first palette declutter. But I went through a very bad case of depression. Fell into a pretty dark place in around 2018, and makeup kind of helped me get out of it. So some of these palettes that I've had since then, as crazy and insane as it sounds, have a meaning to me. They mean something more to me than makeup, which maybe they shouldn't, but they do. So anyway, what's kind of also cool about this palette, besides I love these colors, they have one row of mattes on the bottom, and then the rest are all shimmers. I love shimmers. The formula is not out of this world, but I feel like it's pretty good for Morphe, and I still do get some use out of it, so I am going to hold on to it. And then the other Morphe palette that I have, so if you saw my video where I was using makeup that I owned and never used, and my dog, little Maggie, she was picking out makeup for me to try, she picked this palette for me to try, and of course she did. This palette is about 10 times the size of a normal palette, so she couldn't help but like walk right into it. This is what it looks like, by the way. This is a Constellation palette. It is Morphe in collab with Pony, I guess. It's really pretty. If you saw that video, you know I fell in love with this palette. I'm sorry, I did. It's just... formula on this is very good. I meant to watch other people's reviews on it, but I just never got around to it, but I like it. I freaking like it. I only tried a fraction of the shades. It's so big, I can barely get it in the shot. Like, it's a really big palette. It's kind of too big, to be honest with you, but I tried this palette, and I only tried a few shades, but every shade I picked up and used was, like, out of this world. It's just, for the price... and I'm pretty sure you can probably get this on sale now. I don't think it's... I got mine at Ulta. I don't think it's available there anymore, but on the Morphe side, you can still get it. Like, it's just really pretty. I always love a good tie-dye shade. But even, like, the mattes, I just really enjoyed it. Now, I haven't used all of the shades. I've used about maybe half of them. But I've liked it. I've enjoyed it. So, I am going to hold on to it. Okay, so for those of you playing along at home, I have decluttered 15 palettes so far. I don't know if I'm going to make it to 50. We're not even halfway through. I might make it to 50. 2 more are going right now. So this is the Glamlight and the Glamlight and Give Me Glow collection. And I am going to declutter my 2 Hershey Kisses. I was going to keep the neutral one, but to be honest with you guys, I just never, ever, ever reach for it. I have a hard time opening it, which is what I am trying to do right now. Okay, there we go. So there you have it. This is the neutral. This is the neutral one. This is the neutral one. There was another neutral one that was a little bit warmer. This is the milk chocolate. No. Yes. Milk chocolate? Yeah. This is the milk chocolate kiss. I thought these were really, really cute. I think that Glamlight does a lot of really cute packaging, but I never, ever reach for this. I am going to declutter. The formula is actually good. Formula is not good. It's not bad. I liked the neutral one better than the purple one, but that's just me. I tend to like neutrals better. There's the purple one. It's pretty. Yeah, I'm going to declutter both of these. And then the only Glamlight palette I have left that I am going to keep is my Chocolate Martini palette, which is one of my favorite palettes. This is one of my favorite neutral palettes. This was from last year. They did the Happy Hour collection. I thought it was really, really beautiful. I thought the whole collection was nice, but I only picked this one up, and it is so pretty. So, so gorgeous. Love it. I did a video. I had a chocolate martini. Actually, I had a chocolate milk that looked like a chocolate martini. I'm such a dork. Whatever. I love this palette. It's stunning. This shade, Happy Hour. Oh, I mean, seriously, come on. You know I love a good shimmer. I am keeping, oh, that's kind of like a duochrome. Is that like a pinky purple? Whatever. This palette is definitely staying in my collection. That leaves me with 3 Give Me Glow palettes. I love Give Me Glow, and I am going to be keeping all of my Give Me Glow palettes, which means I have decluttered 17 so far, but I'll show you these 3 real quick. This one I think is getting discontinued. I keep hearing it's getting discontinued, but the last time I looked, it was still on the website. It's really, really beautiful. If you like neutral palettes, I absolutely love Gimme Glow's shimmer formula. I think it is so freaking beautiful, and I love a neutral palette, so I am keeping this one. Pastel Dreams. I love this palette too. It's so pretty. I saw somebody for the first time declutter this. I saw it today and I died just a little. I think this palette is so beautiful. This is like the only pastel palette you need. It really is. And it's just like the formula is insane. Like I said, I love shimmers. So like for me, oh God, look at that. It's just, it's too much. It's too much. I love it. This was my number 3 palette on my countdown. I tried it for the first time this year. It's an older palette, but it was new for me and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then finally, of course, who could forget the Christmas Morning palette? Oh my God, it took me forever to get this because it was always out of stock, even today. Actually, I think it is in stock right now, but oh, look at those shimmers. Like usually it's out of stock. I actually had to pick mine up over the summer. This one is crazy. Oh my God, they're so, so pretty. I don't think I will ever, ever, ever declutter these palettes. Keep. Elf, Kaleidos, and Juvia's Place. I have 2 Kaleidos, I have 2 Juvia's Place, and I have 2, a little more than 2 Elf. Actually, let's just start with Elf. Let's start with the atrocity, in my opinion, that was the Dunkin' Donut collection. Oh my God. So these are 3 small palettes, but you had to buy them together. They came in a box together. They were like kind of like set up like that. And this is the Boston Cream, and then this was the Strawberry Sprinkles. I think that's what this was. Oh, Strawberry Frosted with Sprinkles, excuse me. And they're not bad looking palettes. They're actually kind of nice looking until you start to use them. This was the Chocolate Frosted with Sprinkles. The formula is so terrible. It is absolutely atrocious. So when these came out, actually the actual what's it called, the collection, I thought was really cute. They did a really nice job with the packaging and like the attention to detail. It was really, really nice, but the formula is terrible. They are not like the bite-sized palettes. If you are used to the bite-sized palettes, you know, Elf had made those bite-sized palettes and their formula was really good. These are not that formula. These are a different formula Elf came up with. God only knows why, and these are not good, so these are going bye-bye. Okay. Then I have Elf's The New Classics. I'm not ever totally in love with Elf's formula, but I think they don't have a terrible formula. With the exception of those palettes, they don't have a terrible formula. Actually, the bite-sized palettes, I had a lot. I think I had all of them last year, but I had an allergic reaction to them, so I did end up decluttering them, but they were phenomenal. They were absolutely phenomenal. So this is the Nudes palette. Is that what this thing is called? I just said it. The New Classics. I've never used it. I held on to it last year. Still haven't used it. I'm going to declutter. So the one palette I'm going to hold on to is the palette that I do use from Elf. And actually, this palette I think is quite stunning. I actually really, really like this. This is the Earth and Ocean palette. These greens, some of these blues, the blues are not like great, but they're not terrible. But this side of the palette is stunning. Like rock bottom, Fuji feels, beautiful. This actually, rock bottom, this is I think my favorite shade from this palette. I'm boring neutral girl, but yeah, I love that shade. I think this is a beautiful palette. I'm probably going to use this when I do my e.l.f. video, unless they come out with something else that I want to try, but I absolutely love this palette. I am going to keep it, and I will declutter the other one. The other one I never used, so I don't know, but I mean, it looks nice. e.l.f., like I said, their formula is pretty good. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with those Dunkin' palettes. My opinion. Maybe somebody liked them. I thought they were not very good. Okay, Juvia's Place. I have 2 Juvia's Place palettes. I used to have more. I did declutter. Actually, no, I'm not sure if I ever had more Juvia's Place palettes. They usually make very colorful palettes, which I don't gravitate to. But this was the Blushed Rose palette. Looks like this. Really beautiful. Oranges and pinks, which I was kind of... And this shimmer is stunning. I was kind of thrown when I purchased this because I wouldn't put oranges and pinks, but actually it's a really, really beautiful combination. But I am going to declutter it because I don't reach for it. And then I had my The Warriors by Juvia's Place. This is another one that's absolutely beautiful. Of course, I bought this one. It is the Neutral palette. It's so lovely. My mom loves this palette. Every time I pull it out, she's like, oh my god, it's so pretty. It is. It is absolutely beautiful. But again, I don't reach for it. I never reach for it anymore, so I'm going to declutter it. I actually just purchased the Candy Shop. That is the new Juvia's Place collection. I did purchase the Candy Shop palette, so as soon as it comes, I will do a review on it. And then finally, I have Kaleidos. I have 2 palettes by Kaleidos, and I'm going to declutter one. This is the Bronze Palace, the Futurism 2. They did a whole thing of Futurism palettes. There was like a green, a pink, there's a turquoise. There was this one. I know the fluorescent one was discontinued. I think the other ones are still available, but I also had the lavender and the neutral one. I actually decluttered them both last year. I am going to hold on to this one. I actually really do enjoy this palette. I like the packaging. I like the artwork. I like the formula. I think it's really, really nice. So I'm going to keep this one, and I'm going to declutter the other one. This is the Flowing Haze. I had a review on this one this year. It came out around Halloween. The packaging is so beautiful. It's a quad. It's absolutely beautiful. Formula is gorgeous. I don't like this palette on me. I always feel like I have a bruise. I don't know if I am doing it wrong or it's just not a good color story for me. But whatever the case may be, I think somebody might really absolutely love this palette because it is stunning, but it's just not for me. I'm going to declutter. It is the Colourpop portion of the show. There's a lot to get through here. Let's go ahead and get started. I believe I have 21 Colourpop palettes. If my memory serves me right, I did a ranking, a Colourpop. Oh, this is just a box. Oh, no. Wait a minute. I thought I got rid of one of these. Okay, so I have 2 Secret Admirer palettes. This was the Valentine's Day collection this year. I did a review on it during Valentine's Day week, and when I received it, it was broken. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my god. Guys, I am so stupid. Okay. Let me retract a statement. I feel like the news. Okay. So, this is the original. Okay. All right. Now I know what happened. Now I get it. This is the original palette. It came with the shade In the Mood completely crushed. I opened it up on, what's it called? On the air. Like I'm on, like I'm on TV. Now, I opened it up during my video and it was everywhere. Like it was absolutely coming through the packaging. It was just everywhere. So I contacted Colourpop and they gave me a new one. I forgot I didn't get rid of this one. I don't know why I didn't get rid of this one. And then when I did my ranking, I pulled this out and I thought that this shade fell out again. And I couldn't find it. I was like, where the hell did it go? Okay, now I get it because that was the original one. This is the new one that Colourpop sent me. They were really, really lovely. Colourpop. They were really, really nice. I told them what happened. They sent me a new palette. I wasn't crazy about this palette. I don't know. I did try to use the one that I had. I did try to go ahead with the video. And then when I received this one, I just never used it. But I think it's really cute. And I actually have the box. So I'm going to declutter this one. And I'll declutter the good one. And I'll put that on my card. And then the other one I'll just get rid of because the other one is a freaking mess. Okay. So that's that. All right, that's taupe. That's taupe. This is a really nice, this palette's okay. So the story with this palette is I really liked it last year. I ranked it very high on my Colourpop ranking. I had bought this one. Originally, I had bought the Stone Cold Fox, and I really liked the Stone Cold Fox. But then the Stone Cold Fox story of my life gave me a horrible allergic reaction, and this was supposed to be a smaller version of the Stone Cold Fox. I think the Stone Cold Fox was a little bit better quality, but I did really like this palette, but I don't know. Recently, I've been kind of falling out of love with this palette, and it's also starting to fall apart a little bit. I don't feel like it's performing like, well, that shade is. That shade's really nice. I don't know. I think it's this one. Was it this one? It's one of these shades. Oh, no, that's pretty too. But I know, ooh, wow. I know I tried this palette, and I just didn't care for it anymore. And I don't remember what it was about it, but it just wasn't working the way it used to. I'm actually going to declutter it. And because it's kind of falling, like it's ready to fall apart, I can tell it's ready to fall apart. I will probably just give it to I don't think I'd sell it. I think I'll just give it away. Okay. The Witching Hour. This one I got in the Spooky Mystery box this year around Halloween. This is the second release from the Hocus Pocus series. There were 3. I had the first one. I decluttered it last year. Didn't pick up the third one. I really liked this palette. I remember when it first came out, I had like no real intention of buying it. I thought they just kind of picked a random color story and put the witches on it. But in reality, I think this palette is really beautiful. When you get it in person, when you actually use it, the formula is really nice, and it's just a beautiful fall palette. So I am going to keep that one. My Star Wars palettes, guys, you know how much I love these. This is the Darth Vader. I think the Star Wars Colourpop palettes are so, so nice. They're like a step above their regular palette. So this was a Darth Vader. This is a color story that I love. And you know I love when they throw a super shock in there just for the hell of it. Love this palette. Not a huge fan of matte glitters, and there is one right here, but okay, whatever. Love it. Keeping it. One of my favorite palettes this year was the Star Wars Colourpop palette. This is like the old-fashioned one, like the original movie, and the packaging is so cute. Like, look at that. That's from the original movie. Look at Luke Skywalker. Look at Carrie Fisher. Look at Harrison Ford. This is like from the 70s or the 80s, whatever. It's just stunning. And then you have the palette, which is beautiful. You have like these 2 tie-dyed shades. I've used the crap out of mine, so you can't even tell that they used to be like tie-dyed shades, but they are just these beautiful shimmers. You have a lot of neutrals in here, which is good for someone like me because I love neutral shades, but you also have like the red and the blue, which is kind of like, I don't know, Star Wars-y. They had like those, all right, I wasn't a Star Wars person. I really wasn't, but I still like these palettes. But like these things, what the hell they were called? They were like always like red or blue or something. So I think that's where it came from. I thought the color story was really, really, really beautiful. And the formula on this is really good. I think this is still available. Highly recommend. I had a whole video on this palette also. Yeah, the formula on this is stunning. I think these palettes are so, so good. I'm keeping that one. Of course, this palette was not that great. Here is what it looks like. It's beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, very, very beautiful palette, but the formula was just so, so on this one. This was one of their really early Colourpop releases of the year. I think this might have been one of my first videos in January or close to it. I just wasn't feeling this palette. I am going to declutter. Same thing with this one, all amethyst. This was from the same collection. They came out at the same time, and I purchased them at the same time, and I did the video at the same time. Again, really, really beautiful color story, but the formula on this just wasn't that great. And what was kind of funny is I watched Angie's review of this palette, and she was like, hers wasn't that good either, but she saw other people's that looked like they worked better, like they swatched them, and like hers didn't swatch like theirs did, so maybe there was a bad batch. I don't know. I mean, this palette's not terrible. Like I said, I did a whole review on it. It's not horrible, but it's not as good as some Colourpop quality, so I am going to declutter that one. And then I have these 2 quads. I really like Colourpop quads. Some people don't. Is this the broken one? No. Is it? And I don't think it's broken, but I'm just going to keep them both. This is the extra toppings, and then this is the cream soda. This one's my favorite. This one is my favorite. I love these shimmers. They are so freaking beautiful. I think the Colourpop quads are really, really good. They're great for travel. This one, extra toppings. This one's nice too. I usually don't gravitate towards pinks as much, but they're pretty. I'm going to keep them. And of course, I don't even have to tell you, I'm going to keep my Disney Colourpop. This is one of my favorites of all time. This is the Disney Princesses. What the hell is it called? It's a princess thing. So beautiful. Look at that color story. I love a good neutral color story. These shimmers, oh my goodness. Like, they just are incredible. They are so good. Yeah. They are just... I've seen people like go to declutter this palette and then they swatch it and they're like, wait a minute, I forgot how amazing it is. Like, that's just how this is. So yeah, definitely. Plus, again, this is another palette that has a special meaning to me. And I don't think I will ever declutter this. Okay, and then my second part of Colourpop. This is Colourpop part 2, if you will. I had too many to get in the whole shot that first time. Okay, so this is the Mandalorian, the child palette. I don't even have to tell you. I absolutely love this palette. If you watch my channel, you know. I love this green, but not too green kind of color story. It's like a neutral green color story, and it's beautiful. And I love this palette. He's so cute. So this is a definite keep. Next up, we have the Wild Nothing. This palette is so funny. People either love this palette or they hate it. So, oh, yes, mine is breaking. Spirited is coming out. That's this one right here, the Super Shock. It is about to fall out because of the... I was somebody who really loved this palette because I like a wash of color. That's what it is, like Wild Nothing. I think that's exactly what it is. It is a wash of color palette. I'm going to keep it one more year, I think, and see if I can get some more use out of it. I really love to bring it out in the summer, and yeah, I always liked this palette. I'm going to keep. Next up, we have Mulan. This is what it looks like inside. This had, yeah, this palette's kind of a mess. This had a shimmer shade, like a glitter, pressed glitter shade that was a little different. Beautiful packaging, beautiful packaging. That was a little different from Colourpop's other formula as far as glitters, but I liked it. It was like a creamy glitter. It has a lot of glitter. People either loved this palette or they hated it. I am going to declutter mine. I don't feel like I'm going to get any more use out of it, and it is kind of a mess now with these glitter shades. So yeah, I'm going to declutter that one. Flutterby. This is another gorgeous one. This is really, really, really pretty. It's like a pinky, mauve-y kind of palette. The packaging is insane. It's so beautiful. Like, the front is like glittery. It is just gorgeous. It does have two pressed glitters. Excuse me, matte glitters, and then it has this one pressed glitter here, which is like that old kind of formula. I do not like matte pressed glitters. I don't like matte glitters, but like these shades, they are so pretty. But to be honest with you, I didn't use this much last year. I don't see myself pulling this out. Like, the only shade in here I truly love at this point would be like Wild Wing and this one, Sunflare. I don't know why my camera's going out. Sunflare. This shade is gorgeous, but I'm sure I have it in other palettes, or I could get a Super Shock similar to it. I love this palette. I'm never going to use it though. Declutter. Off Melrose. I love this palette too. And this palette I do get a lot of use out of. Again, it has this like freaking glitter. I hate this. I hate these glitter shades. I really do. And then it has a matte glitter up here. It has a matte glitter down here. So I would think that I would hate this palette. But to be honest with you, I actually really like this palette. I was always talking about this palette. I got a lot of use out of this last summer. I was using like these shades and this shade Fairfax. Every time I open this up, I have to swatch it. I love, love, love this shade. I think it's so, so good. It's like a dual chrome kind of thing, but it's really beautiful. I know that wasn't a good swatch. I'm running out of room. I'm going to keep it for now. For now, I'm going to keep it. I do really like that palette. So that's actually one of my favorite Colourpop palettes. I would like to get Dusk, the Dusk palette. What the hell is it called? Till Dusk, but I don't think it's available anymore. Okay, Limoncello. This is one of the most beautiful palettes, in my opinion, Colourpop has ever done. It is absolutely stunning. Even like the packaging, it's just so, so pretty. And the blue makes sense in this palette. Like the way they did the packaging and then they did the yellow with the pop of blue. I'm going to insert some pictures that I took of this palette because I also have a hobby of photographing palettes. I just love palettes. I love everything about them. The thing is, I don't use it. I don't really use these yellows, and then I have these shades in other palettes. This one's discontinued. I'm pretty sure this is a discontinued palette. I don't know why. I think it's so pretty. I don't know why Colourpop discontinued it, but I just, even though I think it's beautiful, I never used it. And I don't, probably never will, so I'm going to declutter this one. On the list, this was kind of a shitty palette. I'm sorry, it was. The formula is not very good in here. It looks beautiful, but the shimmers, like they look stunning, but they're just not that good. And this was an Ulta exclusive. I feel like when they do an Ulta exclusive, it just doesn't work. Like, it's okay. It's not terrible. The mattes aren't bad. The mattes are not too bad. The shimmers just aren't good. I mean, it's not absolutely terrible, but it's not great either. It was actually my least favorite Colourpop palette. Like I said, I just feel like sometimes when Ulta releases a palette, it's just not very good as far as Colourpop. Ulta exclusives, they're not the same Colourpop formula. I am going to declutter that one. Not a Box of Chocolates is not going anywhere. This was my favorite Colourpop palette this year. I ranked it #1, and it was like pretty high on my other ranking too. Out of all the palettes I tried, I think it was like #5, which is pretty good. Yeah, look at the attention to detail of this palette. This was everything that Too Faced's Better Than Chocolate palette was not. Look at the like range of shades you get. And you get some dark, nice chocolatey browns. You get like a whole range. Not every color looks the same, but yet it's neutral. You had like these indentations that actually made it look like a box of chocolates. And this palette is so aesthetically pleasing that when you open it up, like on camera, it just doesn't do it justice. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Not going anywhere. Smoke and Roses. This was my #2 Colourpop palette, but honestly, I'm decluttering it because I had a, guess what, allergic reaction. Again, these pinks, I can't use them, but the palette itself is absolutely beautiful. I think it's stunning. I think somebody will love it. I'm not a huge fan of the mega palettes, but every once in a while I hit on one that I think is really good. I thought this was good. I did a video over on Super Bowl Sunday, the Rose Bowl. Battle of the Palettes, the Rose Bowl. This one up against the Rose Quartz by Huda, and Huda's won. But this was a close second. This definitely held its own. I think this, for a fraction of the price, I think the palette's gorgeous. The only problem is the packaging is hard to keep clean. It's got the same kind of packaging. All of these, like, mega palettes kind of have this packaging. They're just, like, see, they're hard to keep clean. But other than that, they're really nice. Anyway, I am going to declutter that one. And then finally, my last one is the Bare Necessities. You know I'm not going to declutter this one. I get a lot of use out of this one. This is like my go-to everyday palette. I think this is a great palette from Colourpop, especially if you're someone who doesn't have or wants a big collection. This is a great one to have because it's like a one and done. Like you have like cooler neutrals, you have warmer neutrals. This, like I said when I did my Colourpop ranking, is kind of why I don't feel the need to get the Nude Mood. This is why I'm not replacing my Going Coconuts, even though it was my favorite. I feel like they're the exact same shades. And then you get like some deeper tones down here. I just think overall this palette is really, really nice. So I am going to keep that one too. How long have I been doing this? Is it 2023? No, not yet. Okay, let's keep going. This is my BH Cosmetics collection. Guys, somebody please light a candle. Have a moment of silence. Let's just do something. BH Cosmetics used to be one of my favorite brands. What they were able to do with the price is just incredible. Some of these palettes, oh my goodness, like this is when BH Cosmetics was BH Cosmetics. So I'm telling you, these palettes, they should have their own A&E special. Okay, so BH Cosmetics, as you know, it's still around, but I believe it was taken over by Makeup Revolution. That's what I heard. I don't know if that is 100%, but that's what I heard. And they really have done nothing with them since. They did release a couple of travel quads earlier in the year. They were really nothing special, and I think they released a neutral palette, but that was like it. So, I mean, it's disappointing because, like I said, they were one of my favorite brands, basically my favorite drugstore, like cheaper price brands, but it's really no more. So yeah, these palettes, like I said, they're from a time that is dead. So my first one, this is the Naughty palette. This was from 2 holidays ago, I believe, not last year, but the year before. They had the Naughty, they had the Nice. Nice was not very good, but the Naughty palette, oh my goodness, this is what it looked like. I believe it is absolutely stunning, first of all. I'm trying to get the whole thing in the shot. Absolutely stunning. I believe at the time it retailed for something like $14. Brands just don't do this anymore. They don't. Like this holiday palette, I gotta move the camera back. It was so, so good. It just had everything. You had neutrals, you had greens, you had it was just so good. The formula was unreal. So, so, so good. Definitely holding on to that. I think I will always hold on to this one. Then the Zodiac. This is another discontinued one, but they did have, this is not the original. I believe the original is still available. Every once in a while, you'll stumble upon these, like in TJ Maxx or a place like that. I believe the original might even still be available. The original was green. This, and it was the Zodiac signs. This was the love signs. I kept this one. I decluttered my Zodiac signs last year, and then it has a beautiful highlighter in the middle there. It has like these mattes and then the baked shadows. Oh my god, BH Cosmetics baked shadows are seriously something beautiful. Like, they're just absolutely stunning. I love the formula. I didn't really incredible. I didn't really use this that much, but I do want to get some use out of it. Definitely keeping. A lot of people didn't like this palette because of the packaging. Me, I don't care. There is a lot of packaging, but I don't know. I love it. I just love it. Galaxy Chic. I bought this in Forever 21. I was on the way out and I saw it. I don't want to show you. Wait, look away. The mirror is broken. And I'm very superstitious. Okay, here we go. More baked shadows. BH Cosmetics had a lovely baked shadow formula. And yeah, so pretty. I don't wear this that much, but I'm going to keep it. There's really, like I said, there's nothing I can do with it. The mirror is broken. They're like little topper shades. They're cute. And yeah, I'll keep it. Really cute. It's like named after space. They just do baked shadows lovely. I can part with this one. This is Optimistic AF. I remember, I think I did. What the hell? Did I do a review? Did I do a blog? I did something with these palettes. If you have to put them this way. If you put them this way, like, you can read it. Like, if you're, like, let's picture somebody, like, using it, then you can read it. And they were all kinds of sayings. They were, like, all kinds of, like, they had a couple of colorful ones. But this one, oh, I remember this one. Okay. I really like this palette. This palette's beautiful. It has a gorgeous formula. I am going to declutter it because I really don't use it, but if I'm going for a neutral palette, I probably wouldn't reach for this one, but it has a really, really nice formula. So I can part with this one. My Blueberry Muffin, I don't think I will ever, ever part with this palette. Look at this, how freaking beautiful this is. It's like blues, but it's like neutral, gray, cool tones. Yummy is my favorite shade in here. I always gravitate towards these kind of tones, and I really don't wear blues, so this is like my one go standby blue palette in case I need. The formula in here is insane, and I think when this palette was available, I don't think it is available anymore. I'll check, but I don't think it is. But I think it was like $13, $12, $14 at most. I mean, what they used to do for the money was sick. It was so good. Speaking of so good, the Venom palette. This was probably maybe one of their last releases before they were bought out. It was like, this was for, I don't remember exactly what this collection, the theme was, but I remember getting this last Halloween. This palette is like snakes. I thought it was a vampire because it says take a bite, but it's actually a snake. This palette is insanely good. The shimmers on this palette are incredible. I don't know if it ever got that much love, but oh my god. Like, oh, so pretty. I absolutely love this palette. If you watched my channel, you know I spent a lot of 2022, or no, I guess it was 2021, talking this palette up. I am going to keep it. Then I have the Hanging in Hawaii. This is the newer, no, this is the old packaging. This is the old packaging. I don't believe they make these palettes with mirrors anymore. These travel palettes, they don't make them with mirrors anymore. They used to. This one is on the older side. I love this palette. I love neutral palettes. I love the formula. It's, a lot of people don't like this palette. Again, it's not really all that exciting, but I love it. I love the shimmers. I love the color story. It's like a little corally pink. It really does kind of look like a sunrise. By the way, this is Hanging in Hawaii. I don't even know if I said that. It's beautiful. One that is a little bit newer to my collection is Lost in Los Angeles. It's not a newer palette, but I picked it up last year. Excuse me, early this year. It might have been like one of my first videos this year where I spoke about a little bit about BH Cosmetics going under or out of business or getting taken over or whatever. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful kind of pastel-y palette. I love it. I love these orange shades. I love these kind of colors, like the hills. This is like, I know I've been swatching the same freaking color in every single palette, but look at that. It's just stunning, stunning. Yeah, going to keep this. Going to declutter this one. This one I am going to declutter. This is the Paris palette. This was actually Angelique Anika's favorite palette last year. This was her #1 palette for, again, what they do for the price, and it's absolutely stunning. The reason I am going to declutter it, I just don't wear these kind of darker shades, but I thought it was absolutely beautiful. So decluttering 2 BH Cosmetics palettes, keeping the rest. And I would absolutely love to see something from BH Cosmetics this year. I would love for them to make a comeback. I don't know. We'll have to see, but hopefully, guys, hopefully they will. Okay, guys, we are getting to the bottom. This is my last, well, actually, after this, I have a big pile of onesies, like palettes I only have one of, but this is my ABH and my Alter Ego palettes. I'll tell you right now, I'm not getting rid of any of these palettes. So I'll start with Alter Ego. For those of you that don't know, Alter Ego is a brand. They make dupe palettes. I'm not 100% sure how they get away with it. When I say dupes, I don't mean palettes that look similar or have similar color stories. I mean shade for shade dupes. This is the Temptress by Alter Ego. This was a dupe for the Sultry palette by ABH, which I do not have. I absolutely love this palette. I think it's stunning. The formula of Alter Ego's palettes is very, very good. And they are not at all expensive. Their palettes are under $20. I'm pretty sure they're all under $20. This one is discontinued. It's not available anymore. And Sultry is also discontinued. But I said to myself, I have like a new love for ABH. So if they do ever re-release Sultry, I will pick it up. I will. I'll pick it up to add to my collection. But for right now, I'm very happy with this one. And then this is the Aurora palette. I believe this was a dupe for Natasha Denona. For the most part, guys, they do Natasha Denona dupes. They also have done Huda and obviously ABH, and I believe they have a Pat McGrath one. But for the most part, they have always done Natasha Denona. So I used to have more. I did declutter them last year simply because I just had so many palettes and I wasn't using them. I kept this one. I love this palette. I pull this palette out in the summer. I love this shade. I just love it. I love this shade. I just think this palette is stunning. As you can see, it has gotten some use. It's a dupe of Natasha Denona, either Sunset or Sunrise. I really don't know. It's one of them, but it's stunning. So I actually feel like I would like to pick up more Alter Ego palettes. They do have a glam dupe and they have a retro dupe for Natasha Denona. And they very often run sales. I think this year I will pick them up. Next up is my ABH collection. ABH had a great year in my opinion. And I really found a new love for ABH, which I didn't have in the past. So I am actually keeping all of my palettes. First off is the Modern Renaissance. Yes, I decluttered this one last year. Saw it on Mercari. Nobody wanted it. I think because it's older and most people who wanted it have it. So I simply brought it back into my collection because it was one of those palettes that I just decided to keep. Like I said, some of them I put on sale. One of them I'm going to get rid of, which I'll show you in a few moments. And then this one I brought back into my collection. And the Tarte one I brought back into my collection. And my Urban Decays I brought back into my collection. So, welcome home, ladies. The Anastasia Nouveau Beverly Hills. Oh, love it. This palette is absolutely stunning. This was my favorite palette this year. I ranked it #1. I wasn't the only one. Sorry, my camera went a little focus. Morgan Turner also ranked it #1, and she tried a shitload more palettes than I did. It's just beautiful. These grungy tones. The formula is amazing. It's stunning, easy to work with, and I always get a ton of compliments. I'm keeping that. Tried this one for the first time this year. This is the Anastasia Primrose palette. It's beautiful. These shades are just, they're okay. The real stars is the eyeshadow palette. This was the blush and I guess the bronzer. I don't know. But these shades are so good. I tried this over Valentine's Day week. Such a great formula. Very, very easy to work with and just beautiful on the eyes. Soft Glam. This is kind of funny. I decluttered this palette last year and I brought it back. This was the one palette I purchased back. So I sold it on Mercari and then I bought someone else's off Mercari. So it was like a swap. I had never used it when I decluttered it. Now I have. I brought it back. I started using it. I fell in love. This is one of my favorite go-to most used palettes. It is absolutely stunning. People declutter this all the time because they say the new stuff is better. This palette had its day. I disagree. I'm coming from a different school of thought where I tried other stuff first. I think this is actually better than a lot of the new stuff that's on the market. And then finally, my Novena palette, my ABH Novena. I think this is volume 5. This is the only one I have. There's a lot that came out before this. And from what I've heard, I was actually, after trying this palette, I was going to purchase some of the other Novenas. But from what I've heard, this one was by far superior. So I probably will not. But yeah, this palette is so, so good. I absolutely love it. Formula is beautiful. The shades are absolutely stunning. You can do neutrals. I love when a palette gives you like the color story, but you can also do neutrals because maybe you don't want to do purple, maybe you want to do neutrals, and then you have like these kind of warmer tones down here. There are some glitters in here, which I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not a fan of glitters, but it's okay. There's also a matte glitter, but for the most part, you don't have too many mattes or, matte glitter or pressed glitter. I think there's just one in one. This palette is fabulous. Fabulous. If you're going to purchase a Novena, get this one. All right, so my first group of palettes where I only have one, I have 2 piles like this. So I have one of the brands. That's basically what this is. So let's go ahead and start. I have this Physicians Formula palette. This is the Butter Believe It palette. I think that's what it's called. Butter Believe It. Yeah. This palette is so, so cute. Really, for the quality is so good for the price. I was so impressed with this. I've been using it a lot. It's great for travel. It's great for everyday wear. It's very, very reasonable for drugstore. I think this palette is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Really good. Really, like really good. The quality is very good on this. So, yes, I will keep this, and I will be talking about it more when I do my Physicians Formula Milani comparison, and that video is going to be coming up very, very early on in the year for anyone that is interested. I've got one from Smashbox, Cover Shot Petal Metal. It's upside down. I'll show you quickly what it looks like. I am going to declutter this one. I have never used it. I don't really know anything about Smashbox's eyeshadow formula because I have never used anything. Yeah, bought this, purchased it, never used it. The cover is pretty. Why is my camera all of a sudden going out of focus? Maggie is not happy over something. Okay, so here it is what it looks like. It's really, really pretty. It's just a nice little cute little neutral palette, but I definitely don't need it, so I'm going to declutter. Let me go see what's going on down there. So you guys remember this? This is the Fenty Beauty, was it the Bomb Posse palette? I believe it's like after the Gloss Bombs. Like it was based on the colors of the Gloss Bombs. The Gloss Bombs are amazing. Palette, not so much. I actually purchased this, not this year, but last year, and I used it for my scariest makeup video because it was the lowest rated palette in Sephora. It's not horrible, to be honest with you. I have used worse this year. It's just, listen, the Gloss Bombs are awesome. The palettes, they're not, like the Gloss Bombs are definitely a stronger product than Fenty's eyeshadow. Most people do not like Fenty's eyeshadow formula. It's very wash of colory. There's never a lot of pigment in it. I don't think this palette is terrible. It's just wash of color. It's definitely a wash of color palette, and I am going to declutter it. Okay, you guys remember this if you saw my last palette declutter. This is what, if you're wondering what this is, it is a, this was just something I picked up on Amazon to hold this bundle from Clindoa Cosmetics. These are topper or shimmer shades, however you want to look at it. They are really, really, really pretty, and they kind of look the same, but they all have like a different base color, I guess you'd say. I'll like do the one next to it to show you what I mean. So here's what, yeah, they're like really pretty, like kind of duochromes, but here's what happened here. I purchased, all right, so Clindoa, for those of you who are not familiar, they're like a very small company, privately owned. These are like handmade shadows, and they sell for the most part singles. They have one palette, the Dragon Fruit palette, I believe, and sometimes they sell bundles. I'm just not into single shadows, so I purchased this bundle, which was the cheapest one I could find at $90. I honestly didn't realize that they were like all these kind of topper shades. I did get some use out of this over the summer, but I don't know, like, I think I used too hard of hands, because like even when I swatch them, they kind of have like a fallout. So I think my problem is I'm too heavy on them. Like, you have to use a very light hand with these, otherwise you will have fallout. There's a word for that. Like, they're just like so shimmery that something, I can't think of the name of it, but like they're absolutely stunning. I don't think they're getting justice on the camera. If you look at them in person, you can really appreciate just how shimmery they are. But to be honest with you, I'm still not like in love with them. I'm just not, and like I'm gonna keep them, but I don't know. This brand, I'll tell you one thing, the customer service is impeccable. When I ordered this, it was like during the pandemic or right before the pandemic, and obviously they shut down like most companies did, and then like they were very on top of it. Like, they sent everybody an email what was going on with them, when they were going to be starting to do their orders again and filling their orders. They gave everybody their order number and let people know where they were up to. So I mean, when you buy from a brand like that, it makes me want to buy again. But they're super expensive. Like, for the most part, you buy like single shadows, they can be like $12 a shadow. They're having a sale now. Most of the shadows are very, very shimmery. If they did like a neutral thing, this is going to be a super unpopular opinion, but if they did like a neutral bundle, I would definitely purchase something else from this company, this brand. But the shadows that they have right now, like, they're all like very shimmery, I think, which is gorgeous, and I love shimmers, but it's almost a little too much, like, even for me. Like, I don't know. I think if they did anything neutral, I would definitely buy from them again. They're kind of interesting, like an interesting brand, like a not an everyday brand, like yeah, like they're just like an interesting brand. Okay, Makeup Maniacs. This palette is absolutely beautiful. I didn't really use it too much this year, but I used it a lot last year when I first purchased it. It's like these really gorgeous shimmers, really beautiful shimmers. I'm trying to, okay, yeah. I do have a video where I tried this palette. It's so pretty. I just don't reach for all shimmer palettes, even though I like them, but I think this is gorgeous. If you're looking for shimmers, I am going to declutter it. Dior was my first experience with a Dior palette. it was pretty, but I have to tell you, most of the luxury or I'm not, maybe not most, but 70% of the luxury makeup that I try, I don't really see how it's, oh, there's like dust in it. I don't know what's going on. I really don't see how it's any better. This is like a what do they call it? Like a concealer shade, like a base shade, I guess. It's like a cream. Most luxury makeup, I really don't see how it's any better. I don't. Very few, far and in between do I try something luxury and say, oh my God, this is so good. This does not make me want to run out and buy another Dior palette. With that said, it's not bad. The mattes are very, very good. And the color story is really, really nice. Like this, by the way, I don't know if I told anybody. This is the Cool Neutrals. So this is the Dior Backstage in Cool Neutrals. I had to wait for this palette. I did a video makeup I had to wait for. Was it worth it? Because every time I tried to get it, it was sold out. Was it worth it? It's okay. I'm glad I have it. I'm going to hold on to it, but I don't think I'll be purchasing anything from Dior anytime soon. Then also in a video I did recently, this is the Paris Love Letter. This is Vissy Art. This is my only Vissy Art palette. How cute is this? It's shaped like a little letter. And I used this palette off camera. This was in my video where Maggie picked makeup I never used. I've owned this like forever. I got it on sale at Sephora. It was on super sale. I swear, I don't even think I paid 20 bucks for this. I think it was like 15 or something. Like it was on sale and then it was like VIB or something. I don't know. I just remember paying very little for this palette and then never using it. But this is my color story. I absolutely love this. It's so beautiful. So I was going to try it in that video, but Maggie didn't pick it. Obviously, she picked the Morphe one because that was probably all she saw. So I tried it on my own and it's stunning. Stunning. I always love to swatch a shimmer. They're just absolutely, they're like very like they're not like thick shimmers. I don't know how to explain it. They're like very like dainty eyeshadows, but they are absolutely beautiful. I would love to try more from this brand because I've heard that this is like actually like not as good as their other stuff, and that's very impressive. So yeah, I would definitely be trying more from Vissy Art and holding on to this. Next up, I have my Huda Rose Quartz palette. This one is beautiful. Beautiful. This is the only one. I know there's another one back there. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I love this palette. I think it's stunning. I can't use it because of my nickel allergy, so I am going to declutter it. I don't know what happened here. These shadows, they kind of like, they're very soft, so I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure. But, yeah, I only use this palette a couple of times, so I am going to be putting it on Mercari. I did a comparison with this and the Guns N' Roses. What the hell is it called? The Roses palette from Colourpop. Smoke and Roses. And this palette beat it, but I mean, that palette is also very good. This palette is just absolutely stunning. I love this formula. It reminds me of the Mercury Retrograde, which I was also allergic to. I have to say goodbye to it. I don't want to, but goodbye. And then finally, there is this Huda Desert Dusk palette. I'm tossing this one out. So what happened with this one is this was actually on my Mercari for a while, and what I did was before I put them on sale, because I just kind of wanted to go through them one more time, I swatched this one a little bit. Like, I was looking at it and I was like, you know what? I don't know. It was this shade that was calling. Oh God, look how it's like falling out. I don't know if you can see that. There's like glitter all over the table. Yeah, right there. This shade was calling out. Like, this shade just doesn't look right. It looks like it's like breaking apart, and it actually went all over the other palette. Something made me swatch it, so I just did, and it's just like totally like dried. The formula, I don't know if the formula was, well, actually that's okay, but like the shimmers, they look like they're dried up. Like this one, Retrograde, this is like really, really beautiful. If I bought this palette, this would be the shade that I wanted, and I swatched it, I'd be really pissed off. So there's something up with this palette. I don't know, because I never tried it. Like, this was a palette I bought and never used. I might have purchased it and then I just never swatched it because I decluttered it. That shade's okay, but overall, I think this palette's just had it. I might have bought it bad. I might have bought it old. Who knows? I'm just getting rid of this. So I just took a count. I have decluttered 37 palettes. God, that is a far cry. Last year, I decluttered over 100, but I didn't start with as much. So I want to get to 50, which is what, like 13 more? I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm looking at what I have here, and I don't have any maybes, so, but you know what? I will definitely get to 40, so that's not too bad. Okay, first up is the Kylie palette. This was another one that I tried in Valentine's Day week. I thought this palette was cute. I used to have a lot of Kylie palettes, but I slowly but surely decluttered them all. Packaging on this one was really cute, and I thought it was the formula itself is a big improvement over the Halloween palette, the Freddy Krueger one, which I really did not care for at all. It's, like I said, it's not bad, but I don't reach for it. Declutter. That's 38. The Gemini palette. This is my only one from Melt Cosmetics. I'm just not, I don't know. I never have a desire to purchase from Melt Cosmetics. I just don't. I don't know. I really do like this palette. It's actually one of my favorite palettes, and it's just something about I have always really loved. But it's the only one I own from Melt, and I don't know. Maybe eventually I'll get another one, but for now, this is it. So I am keeping this one. Patrick Ta. I was so on the fence about this palette. I tried it in the spring when it came out. This is the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 2. I do not own the Major Dimensions 1. This looks like a palette that would like scream to me, but there was just something about it. I don't know. This one, ooh, I just stuck my nail in it. This has like a door, and then there's these two cream shadows, which I love. The cream shadows are absolutely insane. Actually, all the shadows are kind of nice. Like it's not like, here's the thing about this palette. It's not as like a shimmery formula as you would think. Like, I think the mattes are better than the shimmers, and I love shimmers. Like, the shimmers on camera, they look like they're really incredible, but then when you swatch them out, they're like, they're just not. And I'm going to give this palette another chance. I am, but I don't know. I wasn't as crazy about this palette as a lot of people are. I don't know if I'm even, can I declutter 40? That was, I don't even think I'm good. That was 38 palettes. I think I'll be decluttering 39. I think I'm going to be decluttering 39. I thought I would declutter more, but okay. This is the KVD. This was a holiday release. KVD Edge of Reality eyeshadow palette. I love this palette. I don't know why. A lot of people hate this palette. I think most people hated this palette. I think I saw this palette for it is so, like, the shimmers are just, they feel so good. It's kind of weird because it's, like, recyclable or something. So, like, there's no separation with the pans. But actually, the mattes are very good. And I kind of love these cool tone shades. I actually thought this palette was very, very good. Nobody really liked it. I don't even know if it's still available. I'm going to keep it. I like it. Okay, next up, this is my first experience with Nomad Cosmetics. I feel like this was a very unsuccessful declutter. I'm going to end up decluttering 38 palettes. I wanted to declutter. I wanted to declutter 50, but I'm pretty comfortable with the ones I'm keeping. I don't know. Maybe next year. Next year we'll do this all again, and maybe I'll have a bigger declutter, but here's a Nomad Haunted Europe. I wanted to do a video on Halloween. And my collection was smaller too. I started with a much smaller collection. But man, I decluttered 100 palettes last year. That was pretty good. Trying to open up the box while I'm talking to you because I'll show you what this looks like. But this palette is discontinued. So I had purchased this palette and then I wanted to use it on Halloween, like do a video. And to be honest with you, it was discontinued. So I decided against that. But this is what it looks like. So it's beautiful. And I love this kind of theme. I love a theme palette. I'm going to keep it. I love that. But yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about it because like I said, it was discontinued. This is what's up next. So this is just a bunch of Nabla shades that I put together. And to be honest with you, I could probably get rid of this, but I wouldn't really count that as a declutter. These are two Sydney Grace blushes. They're kind of nice. The only shade I absolutely love in here is this one, Water Dream. This is so, so pretty. I could actually probably declutter this whole thing and just move this into that other pan, that other thing with the Clindoas. Like, they're pretty, these shades, but I never ever reach for the, oh, it is nice. That is nice. This one, like this Water Dream, oh, I love it. It's just like so sparkly. It's so, actually, I did swatch like crap. All right, maybe I should start using this. Maybe it looks better in the pan, or maybe it's dried up. I don't know. But yeah, I don't deal much with single shadows. I just don't have the interest. That's the only reason. This is my only Jeffree Star. This is the cremated palette. This is another one I don't think people like. It's all grays, but I love it. I don't know. There's something about this palette I just absolutely gravitate towards. I think it's so pretty. And this is another one I have an emotional connection to. I know Jeffree Star. I don't really know a lot about Jeffree Star because when I got into makeup, I think whatever had happened. I don't know too much about it. I don't really follow that kind of stuff, to be honest with you. I got this palette on Beautylish. It screamed out to me. I think it's kind of unique, actually. It is all gray, but there's not a lot of brands doing all gray palettes. And it's modeled after death. It's kind of depressing, I guess, but yeah, like cremation, like mortuary beautician, last look, last respects. I don't know why my camera is going in and out. It's a really nice formula. The thing is, it has like serious dips because this was my only eyeshadow palette for like a long time. I think this was the first palette I bought when I got into makeup, and I like used it every day. And I also have an emotional connection to this palette as well. I know, like I said, I'm sure it sounds ridiculous to a lot of people. I like these shades too. Like these kind of neutral shades. I know it sounds ridiculous to a lot of people. I'm sure it does. But if you know, you know. And I have an emotional connection to this palette. So I am going to keep it. Speaking of palettes, I'm going to keep the Dollhouse. I love this palette by Blended Bunny. I did a video on this palette very early on in the year. My dolls were in it. I love dolls. So I knew I wanted this palette as soon as I saw it. There is a shade called Attic in this palette. This was like made for me. And I did a little picture with my dolls like in this palette, like looking in the mirror. And I was convinced that like it was going to go like viral on Instagram. I told myself that. Did not happen, but whatever. The beauty of this palette, like you can't get lost in it because it kind of like tells you where to go. There's like these beautiful shit. Like you can just like go right down the line. Beautiful shimmers, beautiful toppers, beautiful formula blends beautifully. They do another neutral palette that I wouldn't mind picking up, but I love this one. And the last palette I'm going to mention is by Beauty Bay Cosmetics. I love this one. It's a whole lot of greens. I did a whole review on this. This is my only Beauty Bay palette, and it's beautiful. Really stunning. I don't know what happened here. I must have gotten like my nail stuck in it or something, but for the most part, this palette is absolutely beautiful. I loved it when I used it. Also very neutral, very green. The formula is stunning. They made like a 9-pan, they made like a 14-pan, and then they made this huge one. They did like all different colors. They did a green, they did a pink, they did a purple. I only picked this one up. The thing is, I don't wear greens for the most part, and I wouldn't reach for this for a neutral palette. I just kind of wanted to try it. At the time, it appealed to me. I didn't get much use out of it, and if I was going to wear greens, I would wear like a green, no green, like a green neutral. So I am going to declutter this one, which is what brings me to, I believe, 39 palettes decluttered. So I am very short of my goal, but I really feel like if I went through them all, I would not find 10 more to declutter. So I think I'm just going to leave it at that, guys. And yeah, a year in palettes. And that's it, guys. 38 or 39? Something like that. Palettes gone. They will probably, whatever's going on Mercari will probably start to show up there next week. So if you are interested in any of these palettes, just go ahead and follow me. I will link my page down below. All in all, I'm not thrilled with this declutter. I thought I would get rid of more, but I guess I liked more than I realized. Honestly, I think at least getting rid of what I did get rid of will give me a chance to really like wear my makeup more and see what I really do enjoy versus what I don't, because I think some of these palettes I may think I really love, but I don't. But anyway, so 39 palettes gone. And with that, the new year is upon us. The old year is behind us. So let's cue the music. Guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, I sincerely hope you had a wonderful year, and I hope you have a wonderful new year. I want to thank you for all the support that you have given me this year. If you watch my videos, if you subscribe to my channel, I appreciate you so much. Thank you to the beauty community for making my life just a little better, and to my fellow small YouTubers, beauty YouTubers, non-beauty YouTubers, whatever. Guys, we're in this together. Thank you so much for everything that you do. I wish you all happiness and peace in the new year. And until next time, and as always, please take good care of yourself so you can take care of someone else. Happy New Year, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.